In Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, hags are typically described as fae or fiends of medium size. Similar to a necromancer that becomes a lich, a hag is typically seen as the final evolution of witchcraft or dark druidism. In the case of the green hag, a witch or druid with strong connection to nature twists and corrupts that connection to bring themselves power, and then uses that power to exert influence on the world around them. Night hags, similarly, are witches that live in the lower planes and make pacts with devils and demons to strengthen their magics. All hags are described as being crafty, vile creatures who use their magic and trickery to prey upon mortals for sustenance. In this minute mythology, we will examine the Night Hag. The Night Hag in D&D are described as wicked witches that dwelt in the lower planes whose nightmarish minds and abilities made them appear to embody the ideals of the hag race. They are known to use their magic to induce nightmares in their victims, and create soul larvae that they use as currency in the Abyss and the Nine Hells. They are hideously warped, vaguely humanoid creatures similar to female trolls, who delight in making deals and twisting contracts to torture mortals. Their powers stem from deals made with demons and devils, as well as their family and blood ties to the same. Though they're seen as an essential part in the economic makeup of the Hells and the Abyss, Night Hags are often dismissed or ignored by the actual full-fledged fiends that reside in the lower planes. The Night Hag has an AC of 17 and 112 hit points. They have incredible stats for a Challenge 5 creature, making them a formidable opponent against many different forms of player attack. They're highly trained in deception, insight, perception, and stealth, and are resistant to non-magical attacks as well as fire and cold damage. They cannot be charmed and have dark vision up to 120 feet. They speak all of the languages of the Abyss, the Nine Hells, and the Elemental Planes, which makes sense for lower plane deal brokers. The Night Hags are innate spellcasters with a spell save of 14 and a +6 to hit. They can cast Detect Magic and Magic Missile as many times as they want, and they can cast Plane Shift on themselves, Ray of Enfeeblement, and Sleep twice per day. They have a resistance to magical effects, gaining advantage on spell saves and taking half damage from magic. They also have several choices for their actions. Their first option is their Claw attack, which has a +7 to hit and deals 2d8 +4 slashing damage, a range of 6 to 20. Similar to their Green Hag cousins, they can also disguise themselves as an action, though instead of an illusion, the Night Hag can polymorph fully into a small or medium humanoid. The Night Hag can also enter the ethereal plane as a means of escape or subterfuge, as long as she has her Heartstone. Once per day, they can use an ability called Nightmare Haunting. When in the ethereal plane, if they touch one sleeping humanoid on the material plane, they can inflict horrible nightmares upon them. If the player is affected by this for 1 hour or longer, they gain no benefits from their long rest, and they also have their maximum HP reduced by 1d10. If this reduction would bring their max to 0, they die. This reduction effect can only be removed via Greater Restoration. As a DM, I would use a Night Hag in a similar manner to the Green Hag, but with a little bit more aggression. The Nightmare Haunting ability is very specific, and unlikely to happen in combat. The only time I would use it is if the party is sleeping in the Night Hag's domain, to take out or otherwise weaken one of the party members leading up to a fight. In combat, I would have the Night Hag start out any potential encounter by entering the ethereal plane to stalk the party from afar. This allows them to gain information about the players she is about to fight, and this way she can better target healers and other potential nuisances. I would have the Night Hag leave the ethereal plane 60 feet from the tankiest person, but close to a spellcaster or healer if possible. I would have them use Ray of Enfeeblement to initiate combat, hopefully weakening a strength-based player right from the start. On her next turn, I would have her go into the ethereal plane again to reposition in a way that makes it hard or impossible for melee characters to reach her, unless they decide to use their full turn to get to where she is. On subsequent turns, I would have her use Magic Missile on the healer, dealing 3d4 +3 unavoidable damage, and then use her movement to gain distance again. Every turn should involve her using this missile attack on the people that she has deemed the biggest threat, followed by movement to get away from melee players that are trying to close in. Eventually, when she's softened up the healer a little bit, I would have her cast Sleep on the healer. If they have low hit points, it's very likely that they'll be put to sleep and unable to heal their companions. Once the healer is taken out or put to sleep, the strategy becomes casting Magic Missile and using movement to stay out of melee range, prioritizing killing the spellcasters and ranged creatures first, and leaving the melee players for last. In the event that a Night Hag is outplayed or losing combat, she's not going to stick around. They're incredibly intelligent, fiendish creatures who make deals with creatures of the Abyss and Nine Hells, and so they would not be above using Plane Shift to retreat to a safer plane in order to lick their wounds and plot their revenge. In the event of a roleplay scenario before combat, such as trying to broker a deal with the Hag, I would have the Hag appear in the guise of some wise old druid or simple herbalist. Using the polymorph effect, it'll be very unlikely for lower level characters to see through this illusion. Once the party is in some sort of position of disadvantage, I would have the Night Hag use etherealness to initiate combat and spring the trap she has laid for the party. In mythology, the term hag has often been used interchangeably with crone, wise woman, or witch, with the latter word taking on more sinister connotations in Western culture and religions. The concept of witchcraft being a pact with the devil grew into prominence in early European theology, as it was believed that people could go to the devil to gain the ability to perform miracles and magic, things that were to remain firmly in the realm of God, not mortals. However, women trading their souls to the devil is not where this phenomenon first started. Many historians point to Theophilus of Adana as one of the first writings about devil pacts in which he is an unhappy cleric who wants to be more than the bishop he is and perform miracles. Through whatever means, he enters into a contract with the devil, and gains a patron devil who aids him in performing magic and miracles. Eventually, he is found out and forced to show off the contract with the devil to his congregation, and dies, his soul taken by the devil as payment. There are extensive legends about similar pacts, including Faust and Mephisto, John Fian the sorcerer, and Urbain Grandier the French priest. Interestingly, many of the founding examples of a devil pact are men of the cloth, priests, ministers, and clerics who were enticed away from God by the power of the devil. This has changed dramatically over time. While the specifics are not clear, sometime during the 15 and 1600s, a pact between learned women and the devil became the prevailing story, as a means for men to better control and oppress them. They were forced to submit to the oppressive norms imposed upon them, or else they were declared witches who had clearly sold their souls to the devil for unknown power. These pacts were said to have involved hedonistic rituals and worship through diabolical acts, which further warped the imagery of witchcraft and paganism into that of a dark art practiced by demonic women. Women who were intelligent and able to question why things were, or in any other way threaten the established order, were branded as witches and executed. An estimated 50,000 women were executed in such trials across Europe alone. In addition, any miracles, or as we would now refer to them as medical procedures, were to be performed only by godly men and clerics, as only God is to work in the realm of miracles. Any woman who was found to be practicing any form of medicine, or otherwise holding a position of perceived power via healing or social standing, was also branded as a witch and typically tortured violently for days and murdered in a rigged trial. The Night Hag from D&D is clearly based on the Christianized version of witchcraft. The Night Hag is a creature with fiendish blood and lineage who bargains with literal devils and demons for more power. They use mortal souls and blood as currency and delight in torment and evil. Witches demonized by Christian faiths follow a similar story. They were women who offered up their souls to the devil for power and position. However, unlike these stories that were used to oppress and control women in ages past, the Night Hag of D&D is the real deal, and can be a disaster to encounter at lower levels. If you enjoyed that video, consider giving it a like and giving me a follow. And for more of my videos, you can find me on Twitch @Moglaroo, YouTube @Moglaroo Streams, and TikTok @Moglaroo Streams as well.